Francis reached Revivia Prison to open the second Jubilee Holy Door. For the Holy Father, this was the third visit.
First, 1.2 billion Catholics rejoice as the 266th Pope is chosen. Jorge Mario Bergoglio is his name.
In a move that has stunned the Catholic world, Pope Francis has made a decision that could reshape the future of the Church. Known for his humility and willingness to challenge tradition, this unprecedented action has left theologians, world leaders, and ordinary believers grappling with its implications. What drove the Pope to take such a bold step, and what does this mean for the future of the faith? The Church may never be the same. Pope Francis revolutionized the Catholic Church. Pope Francis has been a transformative force in the Catholic Church, shaking up centuries-old traditions and offering a fresh perspective on what it means to lead in the modern world. When he was elected in 2013, few knew what to expect. After all, the former Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio had been described by some as too conservative. Yet from the moment he stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, wearing simple clothes and asking the crowd to pray for him before giving a blessing, it was clear. This was not your typical pope. One of his first and most powerful gestures came during a penitential service in March 2014. Rather than hearing the confessions of others, Pope Francis knelt in front of a confessional to confess his own sins. This wasn't just a symbol. It showed that Pope Francis saw himself not as someone far away, but as a person like everyone else, asking for God's forgiveness. Pope Francis quickly made it clear that he was not interested in upholding the traditional image of the papacy as a distant, regal institution. He challenged the idea of clericalism, which is the belief that priests should be treated like royalty. Shepherds should smell like their sheep, he famously said. For him, leadership wasn't about power. It was about serving the people. This approach meant that the clergy needed to embrace humility and simplicity, something Pope Francis led by example. His stance on sexual abuse in the Church was uncompromising. He took swift action to hold those responsible accountable and to protect the vulnerable. Pope Francis also worked on giving more power to regular church members. He asked if the Church really helped people figure out their roles as followers of Jesus, or if it treated them like they couldn't make their own choices. For him, the Church should be a place for growth and active participation, not just a system with priests and bishops at the top. This openness to dialogue and debate was a refreshing change, as the Pope encouraged theologians to discuss and disagree freely. In a world that often prefers certainty, Pope Francis embraced the idea that disagreement could be a path to deeper understanding. One of Pope Francis's most consistent themes has been the Church's responsibility to serve the poor and marginalized. He frequently referred to the Church as a field hospital, a place for healing, not a country club for the wealthy. This focus on the poor wasn't just theoretical, it was deeply practical. Pope Francis worked to bring attention to global issues such as poverty, refugees, and human trafficking, often criticizing unregulated capitalism and the social inequalities it creates. Pope Francis's environmental encyclical, Laudato Si', was another groundbreaking moment in his papacy. He boldly stated that climate change wasn't just an environmental issue, it was a moral issue. The poor are disproportionately affected by environmental damage, and the Pope urged both Catholics and the world at large to take action to protect the planet. In his eyes, caring for the earth was part of caring for the vulnerable, and a sustainable future was a matter of justice. Pope Francis's commitment to peace and unity also extended to his work in interfaith dialogue. He met with Muslim leaders in Iraq and Egypt, sending a powerful message of solidarity and cooperation. His work with other countries, especially in the Middle East, focused on encouraging conversation and finding ways to solve problems and conflicts. Pope Francis firmly believed that peace could only come through mutual understanding and shared effort. Despite his many successes, Pope Francis has faced criticism, especially regarding the role of women in the Church. While he has elevated women to important roles within the Vatican, his refusal to appoint women as priests has frustrated many, particularly in the West. His efforts to reform the Vatican's finances have also been slower than expected, and some have questioned the pace of his curial reforms. At 86, Pope Francis is nearing the end of his papacy, but his legacy is already evident. He has appointed a significant number of cardinals who share his vision, ensuring that his emphasis on inclusion, dialogue, and social justice will continue to shape the Church for years to come. The Synod on Synodality, a project he supported, wants to make the Church more cooperative. It shows his belief that decisions should be made by everyone together, not just by leaders at the top. Pope Francis's papacy has not been about overturning church ideology, but rather about challenging the ways the church engages with the world. He has opened the doors to a more humble and socially conscious church, one that focuses on the needs of the poor, embraces dialogue, and takes action on issues like climate change and inequality. While some of his reforms have been slow, his influence on the church's direction is undeniable. Like the Second Vatican Council, his papacy has introduced ideas and reforms that will continue to shape the future of the church long after he is gone. Pope Francis has forever changed the way the world views the papacy. By focusing on humility, service, and social justice, he has brought a fresh vision to the church. His outreach to the marginalized and his emphasis on synodality have created a church that feels more accessible and engaged with the world. Though his reforms have faced challenges, the questions he has raised and the changes he has initiated will continue to shape Catholicism for generations to come. Pope Francis's legacy has sparked a new era of dialogue and reform within the Catholic Church, challenging long-held traditions and offering a more inclusive vision. But as his papacy progresses, the Church faces crucial decisions. How will it balance tradition with modern issues like LGBTQ+ rights, gender equality, and environmental responsibility? And what path will the Church take in navigating these challenges in the years ahead? Navigating tradition and reform. The Catholic Church is at a crossroads, grappling with how to balance its centuries-old traditions with the demands of a rapidly changing world. Pope Francis has been leading the charge to make the Church more inclusive, but not everyone is on board. Recently, the Vatican made some bold moves that sparked both praise and controversy, approving blessings for same-sex civil unions and opening doors for transgender people to participate in Catholic sacraments. These changes represent a shift away from the Church's traditional views on LGBTQ+ issues. And while they're groundbreaking, they also reveal the tough balancing act the Church faces. Pope Francis has long supported civil unions, but this formal approval goes a step further. While this move was seen as a breakthrough for LGBTQ+ rights within the Church, it didn't come without pushback, particularly in more conservative regions. The road to acceptance is not smooth, as many traditionalists feel uncomfortable with any move that steps away from the Church's long-standing teachings. Transgender individuals can now be blessed and even serve as godparents at baptisms and weddings, roles that were once denied to them. This is a sharp reversal from the Church's stance in 2015, when transgender people were excluded from these roles. While it signals progress, the move doesn't entirely change the Church's views on sex and gender, which remain rooted in traditional beliefs. Pope Francis's decisions are part of his larger effort to make the Church more modern and welcoming. But this reform agenda faces major resistance, especially in countries where the Church is closely aligned with conservative political movements. In places like Poland and Slovakia, the Church has worked alongside far-right groups to promote traditional family values, often fighting against LGBTQ+ rights. These changes may not be embraced anytime soon in these regions, where political and cultural dynamics hold strong sway over religious practices. One of the most debated issues in the Church today is the role of women. Even though Pope Francis has worked to give women more leadership roles, he still believes that women should not be made priests. This ongoing debate shows the conflict between the Church's traditional views on gender and the wider society's push for equal rights for men and women. Pope Francis has called for a church that embraces diversity and compassion, but this vision sometimes clashes with the Church's traditional views on family and gender. Another area where Pope Francis has made his mark is on LGBTQ+ rights. While he has maintained that the Church cannot bless same-sex marriages, his support for civil unions has been revolutionary. His way of doing things is based on kindness, with the goal of making the Church a place that hears and helps people with their problems. Despite these efforts, implementing change across the global Church is no easy task. The Catholic Church is a worldwide institution, and local churches often resist changes made at the Vatican level. For example, in Poland, the Polish Episcopal Conference has said it will not bless same-sex couples, even though the Vatican has approved it. This shows how cultural and political context can influence how Church teachings are applied on the ground. The Church's old teachings about sex and gender are still a big part of its beliefs today. This makes it hard for the Church to fully accept transgender and non-binary people. Even with recent changes, the Church still holds to traditional views that tie gender to one's assigned sex at birth. The Church's strong belief in traditional ideas about gender might stop it from making big changes in how it views gender and sexuality. As Pope Francis continues his papacy, the tension between tradition and reform remains. His approval of civil unions and the inclusion of transgender people in sacraments are positive steps, but the path forward will not be easy. The Church's stance on LGBTQ+ rights, women's roles, and other modern issues will continue to spark debate, and how the Church navigates these conversations will shape its future. Pope Francis's leadership has sparked important discussions within the Church about how to adapt to the modern world while still honoring its traditions. The journey toward a more inclusive Church is still ongoing, and the clash between tradition and modernity will continue to influence the Church's path. As the Catholic Church grapples with balancing tradition and progress under Pope Francis, how will these reforms impact its future? And with the growing influence of the Global South, where the majority of Catholics now reside, what new priorities and perspectives will shape the Church's path? How will these two forces, reform and demographic change, define Catholicism moving forward? The future of Catholicism through the Global South. The Catholic Church is undergoing a massive shift, and it's happening in regions you might not expect: Africa, Latin America, and Asia. These areas, which make up the Global South, now host the majority of the world's Catholics. This dramatic change is reshaping the very future of the Church, and it's all due to the booming Catholic populations in these regions. Back in the 1900s, the Catholic Church was largely centered in Europe and North America, with over 200 million Catholics. But by the year 2000, the landscape had begun to change. The number of Catholics skyrocketed to nearly 1.1 billion, and by then the heart of Catholicism had already shifted south. Latin America, Africa, and Asia are becoming the new centers of the Church. Africa especially experienced huge growth. Catholic numbers in Africa increased by an astonishing 6,700% during the 20th century, rising from 1.9 million to over 130 million. Today, the trend is even more striking. Countries like Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, and the Democratic Republic of Congo now have some of the world's largest Catholic populations. Half of all Catholics live in these regions, and by 2050, places like Brazil and Mexico will likely have even more Catholics, with the Philippines and the DRC potentially joining the ranks of the top 5 Catholic countries. With the Catholic population shifting to the Global South, the Church's influence is now closely tied to these regions. For centuries, the Vatican and the papacy have been shaped by Western values and concerns. But as the Church grows in Africa, Latin America, and Asia, the direction of Catholicism could increasingly reflect the values, struggles, and needs of the Global South. The growing influence of the Global South is reshaping the Catholic Church in significant ways. As the majority of Catholics now live in regions like Africa, Latin America, and Asia, the Church's priorities are shifting. These areas face unique challenges, including widespread poverty, conflict, and social injustice, which demand a reimagined approach to the Church's mission. The voices of Catholics in the Global South are becoming increasingly influential, guiding the Church to address issues like inequality, migration, and human rights. The future direction of Catholicism will be shaped by the concerns and needs of these rapidly growing communities, pushing the Church to adapt its teachings and practices. This shift highlights the importance of a Church that is more connected to global realities and the needs of marginalized populations. The Catholic Church isn't fading away. In fact, it's thriving in places where the faith was once less prominent. This shift means the future of the Church will be defined by the voices, values, and concerns of the Global South. As countries like Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, and the DRC continue to grow in the Catholic population, the Church's leadership and teachings will evolve to meet the needs of these regions. Looking ahead, the rising Catholic populations in the Global South will continue to shape the future of the Church. With potential papal candidates like Tegel and Turkson at the forefront, the Church is poised to be led by figures who deeply understand the unique challenges of these regions. As the Catholic Church adapts to this new reality, the direction it takes will be guided by the voices and concerns of the Global South, a force that is transforming the face of Catholicism for the future. As the Catholic Church experiences a profound shift, with the Global South now playing a central role, the question arises: who will lead the Church into this new era? With candidates like Cardinal Parolin, Cardinal Tagle, and Cardinal Turkson, each bringing their unique vision and expertise, the next Pope will face the task of guiding the Church through its evolving role in a rapidly changing world. Who will lead after Pope Francis? Who will succeed Pope Francis? That's the big question on everyone's mind as the Catholic Church looks toward its future. The next pope will have big shoes to fill. It centers around three leading candidates: Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, and Cardinal Peter Turkson, and what they might bring to the Church's future. As the Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin has been Pope Francis's right-hand man on the global stage. Known for his calm, diplomatic approach, Parolin has spent years building stronger relationships between the Vatican and countries like Vietnam, Israel, Nigeria, and Mexico. His experience in international relations and his reputation as a peace builder make him a strong contender for the papacy. Parolin is more than just a diplomat. He's deeply committed to social justice. Throughout his career, he championed the Church's work to fight poverty and inequality. If he were to become Pope, Parolin would likely carry forward Pope Francis's emphasis on dialogue, peace, and global solidarity, especially in conflict-ridden regions like the Middle East and Africa. His experience navigating complex geopolitical issues could be vital as the Church faces the challenges of today's increasingly divided world. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines is another leading figure. With his deep commitment to pastoral care, Tagle has become a beloved figure not only in the Philippines but across the globe. He's known for his ability to connect with people from all walks of life, especially the poor and marginalized, a central theme in Pope Francis's papacy. Tagle's focus on mercy and inclusivity aligns perfectly with Francis's vision of a more compassionate church. Tagle's leadership is rooted in personal engagement. He has made it his mission to ensure that the Church stays focused on those in need, and his humble, approachable attitude sets him apart as a leader who understands ordinary people's struggles. As a pope, Tagle would likely continue advocating for transparency, accountability, and reforms within the Church, while emphasizing the importance of serving those on the border of society. His influence would likely expand the Church's outreach in Asia and Africa, where Catholicism is growing rapidly. Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana has built his reputation as a passionate advocate for social justice, environmental sustainability, and human development. As head of the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development, Turkson has been at the forefront of addressing the Church's response to poverty, migration, and climate change. His involvement in Pope Francis's landmark Laudato Si encyclical on the environment has highlighted his commitment to tackling ecological crises. Turkson's focus on integral human development means that he believes the Church's mission extends beyond spiritual matters. It's also about ensuring the well-being of every individual. If Turkson became Pope, he would likely continue pushing the Church to address the root causes of poverty and environmental degradation. His firm yet compassionate leadership style would allow him to advocate for the marginalized while promoting global solidarity in the face of challenges like economic inequality and climate change. The next Pope will need to carry forward the reforms Pope Francis began while adapting the Church to the rapidly changing world. As the Catholic Church faces evolving challenges, the qualities required in the next Pope are clear: a commitment to inclusivity and social justice, a global outlook, and diplomatic skills. The next Pope must continue to advocate for the poor, marginalized, and vulnerable, as Pope Francis has done throughout his papacy. As the Catholic Church becomes increasingly influenced by the Global South, the next Pope must understand the unique challenges of regions like Africa, Latin America, and Asia, where the largest and fastest growing Catholic populations are found. The next Pope must listen to these voices and lead the Church through the significant social, political, and economic challenges faced by these regions. In addition to regional challenges, the next Pope will need to address global issues affecting all Catholics, such as climate change, migration, and political tensions. The next Pope will need to be a skilled diplomat, able to navigate complex international issues while staying true to the Church's mission. With ongoing political tensions surrounding climate justice, human rights, and religious freedom, the next Pope must engage with leaders from diverse backgrounds to promote peace and solidarity. Leading the Church amid global challenges will require a Pope who is both compassionate and visionary. Pope Francis has led with an eye toward reform, making the Church more responsive to the needs of a diverse global population. The next Pope must continue these efforts, pushing the Church toward greater openness while remaining rooted in its deep traditions and teachings. The next papacy must embrace change and lead the Church into a new era. Who will take up Pope Francis's mantle? Three leading candidates, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, and Cardinal Peter Turkson. Each bring unique strengths to the table. The future of the Catholic Church will require a leader who can inspire hope, guide reform, and unite the faithful in the face of global challenges. Whether through diplomatic expertise, pastoral care, or a focus on social justice, the next pope must embrace change, lead with compassion, and help the Church navigate the complexities of the 21st century. As the Catholic Church faces a rapidly changing world, who will carry forward Pope Francis's reforms and guide the faithful through the challenges ahead? Will the next pope prioritize diplomacy, pastoral care, or a focus on social justice? How will they address the growing influence of the Global South and ensure the Church remains a beacon of hope and solidarity in a complex world? As the Church faces these unprecedented changes, one question remains: what will the future hold for Catholicism under Pope Francis's bold decisions? How will this impact the millions of faithful worldwide? Will this lead to a new chapter or create division? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.